Morning, everybody. Robbie Lewis with Telemetry Flight Services. We're going to have some coffee and talk about the FlightDesk software that we just launched. I'm pretty excited about it. This isn't going to be the traditional software demonstration. That stuff drives me crazy. It's not going to be death by PowerPoint. Hopefully, this will be short, bite-sized clips that are entertaining and allow you to learn more about the approach and methodology that we have behind this software implementation process. It isn't just software for your organization. It is software built specifically for your organization and your organizational needs. And the whole premise behind this is to make sure that your UAS or drone operations are as safe, efficient, and effective as possible. We all have a fiduciary responsibility, whether it's corporate or, in the public safety realm. We have someone to answer to about the cost of these systems and how we're using them. And we have a responsibility to make sure that it's as effective, as safe, and efficient as possible. So before we ever even open any software or hop into the software module, we're going to talk about the discovery and configuration and how we get from where you're currently at with your program to that safe and effective benchmark that we're hoping to achieve. So, yeah, see you in the next one. All right, guys, before we ever even start getting you involved into the software, we go through the discovery and configuration process. This is where we actually tailor the software capabilities, features, and sections specifically to your organization. This is the software for your organization part of FlightDesk. Different people use drones different ways. Whenever I ran the schoolhouse for Special Operations Command, we taught everybody from Navy, Army, Air Force. The SEALs used drones differently than Rangers. Rangers used them differently than Air Force Special Tactics. Special Tactics used them different than Green Berets and SWCC teams. So everybody has their own individual needs and requirements. So whenever we sit down and we do our discovery session, we have a form that lays out your desired end state for your program. It lays out your organizational structure so we can build a hierarchical element into the app for operational risk management, as well as visibility for the entirety of the program. Your program manager or whoever's above him in that hierarchy will be able to see everything. And then as it gets further down the list to the individual pilots, you will only be able to see what you need to see to accomplish your mission. We tailor it specific to different organizations because different organizations are structured differently. I think I said different like 6 times in that sentence. The point is everybody's different, right? What you may call departments, somebody else may call, units. So we go through and we tailor everything specific to you. And it's not a lengthy process. I've got it streamlined pretty down pat into a couple pages of a PDF that we just sit down and we talk about. And some of the things that get changed within the actual software are the program builder metrics, the launchpad audit system scope, right? Because if you're firefighting with the Division of Forestry, you don't need to be audited on the same things as search and rescue for emergency management. That just doesn't make sense. So we tailor it very, very specific to that organizational needs. So that's a good segue. We can hop into Program Builder next. So here we are logged into FlightDesk. This is a progressive web application, so it works across all different devices as long as you have internet connectivity. It doesn't matter if it's iPhone or Android or if you have a Windows phone. It'll work on that too, and it also works on desktop. That's what we're looking at today. This is actually the desktop view through Safari on my Mac. So what we have here, and this is what we're going to be using for the entirety of all these different modules coming up, is sample data based on the Santa Rosa County Emergency Management Office. So whenever you log in, this is the default screen that you'll see. This is your home screen. This gives you kind of a breakdown of everything. Yeah, pretty handy. Gives you like a quick overview of everything that's going on within your organization. So this module is Program Builder, so we're going to go to the dashboard. And then up here at the top, you'll see UAS Program Setup. So there's ideally two different types of users for this platform. There's the guys that already have a program, right? And the guys that want to start a program and don't know where to start. So that's what the UAS Program Setup was designed for, is that second option. So that's what we're going to cover real quick. If you don't know where to start, you log into your dashboard and you go through all of these 6 different phases, from mission requirements, equipment selection, personnel and training. And this is where you enter all of your information in, if it's not already in there from the discovery process. A lot of times this will be front loaded as part of that discovery process, so you can just kind of go through there and double check everything. This isn't designed to be an overnight success. This is designed to be a proper UAS or drone program, and it could take several weeks to months depending on the size of your program. Like I said, it covers 6 different phases, and then once you get done, again, this is all sample data. These will actually be tailored to your organizational needs, like we talked about. You can see the different aircraft there. Yep, confirm equipment review. Our equipment's good. Oh, yep, there's our pilots. And then this gets into the chain of command for operational risk management and program visibility. So once you finish your program setup, you can take an audit once you've been going for a couple weeks. And that's what we're going to get into next. All right, so you just finished your program builder. You have went through the 6 different phases of establishing a smart, effective, and efficient UAS program within your organization. You've got all of your information in there. You've worked with us through the discovery session, and now you've been operating for a couple weeks, and you want to see where you're at. You want to draw that initial baseline. So you go to Launchpad, and you can start a new audit session, right? So you can see this one, just kind of click through it real quick. Or it didn't even click through it, just kind of started a session, a previous session. And you can see right there on the top right, it says NMC, so that's not mission capable. So you have 3 different categories of program readiness status: not mission capable, partially mission capable, and fully mission capable. And all that's based on the scores that you get as you go through an audit session. So we can look here, start a new audit session, session code, intro to audits, or actually we'll call it baseline audit. I'm going to be the point of contact, if I can spell my name correctly. I put the email in there as info@telemetryflightservices.com. If you got any questions, you can always send me an email there. So next, audit recommended by date. So this is something that we would cover in the discovery phase based on your desired end state, whether you want these to be on 30, 60, 90, 45, 120, 180 day cycles, right? This isn't a one and done thing. You're establishing your baseline, and then you're going to come back and check everything against that baseline in, call it 60 days, right? And then you'll see a delta there, a variance on improvement items. So we click Start Audit. So there's two different modes to the Launchpad auditing system. You have guided mode, which we are currently in right now, which displays one audit item at a time. And you look, does the agency have documented small UAS CONOP that defines the program's roles within the County Emergency Operations Center and Emergency Operations Plan? Either you do and you get a 5, or you kind of do, it's a rough draft, you get a 4, or if you have an idea of one, you get a 3, and we'll come back to the 3 later. Or you thought about having one, you get a 2. If you know that you need one but you don't have one, you get a 1. And if you didn't even know that you needed one to have one, you get a 0, right? Anything 3 or less, you see this recommended corrective action draft and adopt small UAS concept. So each one of these corrective action procedures is tied to that line item in the Launchpad audit. So whenever you get a 3, you can throw in any notes. Drafted, awaiting leadership review and approval. Right? And you click this button and it flags it. And it's and that's telling the system, hey, we need to come back and look at this again. And if you look down there on the bottom right, you see caps. That will be all of your items that you need to follow up on as part of this continuous improvement program. Right? So that's a question through the guided view. The full view, yeah, it is all audit items, right? It can be a little overwhelming because it is a lot of information, because these programs require a lot of different steps initially. Once you get it running, you get really familiar with it, right? And at the bottom, you can see send report, and that will send it to your hierarchical based leadership, and you can download the PDF to, if you want to keep a copy of your records in your file management system. And that pretty much wraps up the basics of Launchpad. So we're going to talk about continuous improvement a little bit more here in just a second. Okay, so let's talk about continuous improvement. We've established a program through the program builder, the UAS program setup, 6-phase operation. You've done your first audit, right? You've identified things and marked them in your corrective action procedures. And you've highlighted improvements that you need within your organization. So if you go under your dashboard, you will actually see this Launchpad PRI history, right? And once you do more than one audit, you can actually identify trend data and see how you're improving. Obviously, the goal is to be above the green line and have a fully mission-capable program. But you can see how this builds as you get more audits in there through those 30, 60, 90, whatever day cycles you decide to set forth within your organization. And then under the CAPS tab, like we talked about, like we demonstrated, we showed that one corrective action procedure about the CONOPS for the program. And you can go in here and you can see where everything is, the status of it. Okay, we're in progress, we're working that now, right? And at the top, it'll show from a leadership perspective, hey, this is what we're actively working on. And then you get it done and everybody approves it and everybody loves it, and you're going to have the best program in the state of Florida. And now it's moved to closed. So your leadership can see this real time, where your program sits and what's being corrected. And then if you need to make a new corrective action plan, maybe something that's not initially captured, you have that option as well. There you go. And I just put it there real quick. Requires more advanced operations training for closed structure search and rescue, added to lesson plans. So if you're going through your different training phases and you identify something that needs to get fixed, you can just create a corrective action plan and track it that way. Yeah, pretty handy. And it's all part of that continual improvement process, right? We did it in the military. It was clunky. It was very tough to understand. And a lot of it was open to interpretation. And more often than not, it was headquarters coming down to the individual units and saying, hey, you are or are not complying with these rules and regulations based on our interpretation of what these rules and regulations say. I kind of borrowed that and then I tailored it to unit specific items, right? You're in control of your house. You're in control of your program. You can take ownership and responsibility of that. You don't need a higher level leadership coming down and saying, hey, do this. Now, if that's what y'all want to do, if the state of Florida through FIPA decides that's what they want to do, then that's on that organization. However, initially it is designed to be used at the county, state, corporate level. All right, so let's look at some actual operations within FlightDesk. Think of it from this perspective. It's Monday morning, you're sitting down, getting a cup of coffee. You're the program manager for your organization's small UAS program, and you want to get a good sense or feel of where everything's at. You're creating your to-do list for the week, right? You go to your dashboard, which we're already on, and you can look at all your different pilots, right? So first thing I'm checking is, James is good to go. Kevin Weeks, he's got a recurrency coming up soon. Maria Santos, she's good to go. Let's take a look at our aircraft. Our Altel is good. Our DJI 300 and Mavic are all good to go. So all of our aircraft are good to go, right? If you know that you have training coming up, and I don't have these specifics loaded into the sample data, but let's take a look at James's training file here. You can just click on his name, and then you can see his initial qualification training, his mission qualification training, and his advanced operations training on file. And if you're starting your program, this is pretty beneficial to the training process. You can log a training event. Let's say you're getting James spun up and he's just learning basic UAS operations, right? Stick moves forward, stick moves backwards, this one goes up, this one goes down, left, right, yaw, basic intro level UAS operations. Or even maybe the academic side of it. Hey, these are things that we need to do in order to ensure that we're operating safely. And then you put, a course name in there depending on what your course is for your organization. All right, so that's the completed date, expiration date, if you have that on there based on your unit standard operating procedures. Is it required for currency? Yeah. Well, actually, it would be no in this instance, because once you complete your IQT, you'll have another training event, IQT completion, and then required for currency would be every 90 days, you need to make sure that you're still brushing up on it, or 120 days, whatever it is. Again, organization dependent. Yep, save training record, and you can see that there. No, look. James passed his Santa Rosa County Basic UAS Ground Operations Training class. It was taught by Robbie. He completed it on 7/6/2026. So, yeah. And if you Not the individual, because the individual permissions don't allow it. But if you as a program manager need to edit that training event, let's say you want it to become part of his currency tracking, you can just edit and save training record. And you are good to go. And you'll see the required populate there next to it. So this happens throughout all of your different levels of training, depending on your organizational needs. And getting back to that program manager mentality, my next step would be missions, which is what we're going to cover in the next section. All right, so now we're talking about the mission aspect of FlightDesk. In manned aviation or unmanned aviation that I've been involved with since 2011, you have pre-flight administrative procedures, checks and balances that you have to go through before you go fly. In the military, we were really, really good about having procedures. In the civilian world, this is not something that I have seen anybody organically excel at. Whenever you go to STEP, you stop by the flight desk, right? Hence the name, flight desk. And you submit your operational risk mitigation for that flight or that mission. And during that process, you analyze everything that you may or may not potentially see or have to deal with during that mission. This software allows you to do that, and you go through a mission, which we'll do here in just a second, and you assign risk to each one of these aspects of this mission. And depending on the overall risk level for that mission will depend on who has visibility for approval or denial of that mission. Typically in the civilian world, this looks like a post-it note on somebody's desk. Hey, Timmy's flying in Allentown, right? Or Barry is flying in Blackwater River State Forest. Or Kevin is flying in Cantonment, right? That's not really how that should work, honestly. Nobody is saying, yes, we approve you to go do this. Or, yes, we accept the risk for you to go do this. This doesn't need to be a post-it note or an email. It can all happen right here within this system. And based on the risk level of the inputs that you give the system will depend on who can approve or deny your missions. So let's create a mission real quick. We're going to go to new mission. Let's see. Keeping with the theme of emergency management operations, closed structure. I can't spell to this morning. Search and rescue. And we're going to make this a training. All right. Mission type, search and rescue, or training. Either would work depending on your standard operating procedures within your organization. Let's make Kevin do some work. And let's see, which aircraft would best fit closed structure search and rescue? Probably not the Matrice 300 because that's a little bit bigger. The Alcatel Evo 2 would work just fine, especially if it has the thermal capability. Location. So again, depending on your organization's SOPs, how do you define what that location is, right? It could be MGRS, it could be lat long, it could be a physical address, it could be however you describe it within your standard operating procedures. Let's just say crossroad of Allentown Drive and Pine Level Church Road. And that gives you a good sense of where this is going to be happening. What date? Are you doing it today? Are you doing it next week? And any notes? Let's just say training for new pilots. And create mission. So there you go. Your mission's been created, and now you can step through each one of these categories, right? And assign a risk level to that category. Is it a populated area? No, it's in the middle of nowhere. Are you going to be flying beyond visual line of sight? It's going to be closed structure, so we may not be able to see the aircraft at all times, but we have waivers in place, legalities, all that kind of stuff. So we'll go with medium. Let's just start at the top. How about that? I wasn't going to go through all this, but weather conditions, it's a beautiful day outside. It's Florida, but it may rain this afternoon. So let's bump that to a 3. Airspace out there is wide open. Crew rest. Fully rested, normal duty day, no concerns. Now, if you were in a emergency type environment, that may need to get bumped up to a 3 or a 5, right? If you're running 24/7 operations, everybody may be fatigued. So pilot experience, is it a demonstration flight, or is the student actually taking controls that can determine what risk level you assign this? Equipment's fine. Our stuff is perfect because we track all of it in our FlightDesk software. And operational complexity, let's give it a 3 because it is closed structure. That's part of your advanced operations training maybe. So we're going to look at that. Medium risk. So if you look at the bottom there, lead operator or program manager will be required to sign off on this. So you submit your ORM for approval. And boom, there it goes. That's going to your program manager to look at and go, hey, where are we sitting? Since I'm signed in as a program manager, I can review all of it. I can review this mission and I can go, okay, well, actually this is a previous mission. No, same one. Yep. Review and approve. You guys are good to go. Go fly. My name is Bobby Thomas, and I approved this message because I'm the program manager. And then describe, be safe. Right? Beep boop. Done. And now you have an actual archived log of the operations that you're performing and what you're doing to maintain that safe, right? Safe, effective, and efficient, that safe priority of your organization's small UAS program. Yeah. That's it. Let's wrap everything up. All right. So that's a pretty topical overview of the FlightDesk software for your organization. I want to emphasize that again, your organization software, not just software for an organization. Again, all of these things are tailored to you. This isn't just me selling you something and then not talking to you ever again. Each one of these interactions is designed to be a partnership between your organization and Telemetry Flight Services, so we can help you grow as a capability and an asset, not a liability for your county or your corporation. I look forward to really getting this out there and helping people define what they need, identify those things, correct those things, and maintain that continual improvement process and have safe, effective, and efficient small UAS programs wherever they're needed. I would invite anybody that has any questions to email me, info@telemetryflightservices.com. I'm open to any questions. You can always comment on any of these videos if you have a question about a specific module or anything, really. Hell, look me up, send me a DM or PM or smoke signal or I don't know, whatever the hell they're using to communicate nowadays. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be an extremely valuable system to a lot of different organizations out there. And I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited to see everybody that we partner with grow and obtain that safe, effective, and efficient ideology and apply this approach and methodology to your program. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions and fly safe. See ya.